William Byron, in a lot of ways, can be the most confusing driver of the NASCAR Cup Series. On one hand, like yesterday, he'll absolutely go out and dominate, lead laps, and win a race, and look like a championship contender. But on other occasions, he will consistently be a middle-of-the-pack driver in some of the best equipment in NASCAR. Like I said, it's confusing. And it led me to make probably one of my worst predictions I've ever made by saying he'd go winless this year and miss the playoffs. After leading 175 laps at Vegas yesterday, I looked pretty damn stupid. But I will say that I was looking at the Jekyll or Hyde side, whichever way you want to look at it, and there are two sides to William Byron. Now, William Byron has been in the NASCAR Cup Series since 2018. 2023 is his sixth season in the number 24 car, and since then, it's been a bit up and down. His first season, he had 4 top 10s. That was it. 23rd in points. He looked like a fish out of water, and it proved just how difficult the NASCAR Cup Series is, as he was really fast in the lower series and looked like a bona fide star. But in 2019, you saw improvement. Well, he didn't win. He got 5 top 5s and 13 top 10s, and he made the playoffs. His average finish also increased by almost 8 positions as well, and he had 6 less DNFs, as well as 10 more lead lap finishes, proving year over year he was definitely honing in on his racecraft. In the pandemic season of 2020, he had a bit of a breakthrough. While having less top 5s and 1 more top 10, he got 1 more in a very special category. His first ever win in 2020 at the Daytona International Speedway to basically finish up what was almost a done deal at that point by locking him into the playoffs for the second year in a row. I would know. I was at that race. In 2021, he got a win early on at Homestead, and with it, he had 12 top 5s and 20 top 10s in that season. So far, this is, on average, his best season in the Cup Series, even if the points format finish or the laps led don't reflect that. Last year, though, he had 2 wins in 2022, both of them coming in the first 8 weeks of the season. But he had been regressing to the mean in a lot of ways. He had his lowest amount of top 5 since 2019 and his lowest amount of top 10 since his rookie year. 5 top 5s, 11 top 10s. But he led the most laps he'd ever led in his career, 746. He had the highest points finish of his career, 6th, but finished on the lead lap 28 times, the most of his career. So far this year, he has a 20th place average finish, as he didn't finish in the top 10 in the first 2 races before, as I said before, and I will repeat again, because it is such a big deal and statement, he won at Las Vegas, leading 175 laps. This so far this season is the only finish on the lead lap, and it really proves how 2023 so far has been a small microcosm of how his career has gone. It's very, very hot and cold. Now, I mentioned 2021 and 2022, and I want to talk about those for a second, because I think 2021 and 2022 are basically the most representative seasons of William Byron's career. They show the highest of highs that he can do both in winning and consistency, and the lowest of lows he can do when it comes to inconsistency and coming up short of what his equipment, team, and everything else around him should be giving him. You see, in 2021, he went 10 straight races with top 10 finishes. From races 3 to 19 that season, he only had 1 finish below 12th. Now, the last 17 races of that year were a completely different season. In those 17 races, he had 4 DNFs. He also had 7 races where he finished 20th or worse. And when you look side by side at them, the average finishes are astounding in difference. The opening 19 races of 2021 saw William Byron finishing at a clip of a 9.8 average finish. The last 17 races of that season saw him finishing at a sluggish 17.8, meaning that his average finish from the first 19 to the last 17 races of that season decreased by 8 positions. That is a huge fall off for a driver who early that season was looking to be an outside-the-box championship threat. Now, going to last year, 2022. I mentioned how 2022 saw his career highs in wins and laps led. And most of this was done in the opening 8 races, as I also said before. In the opening 8 races, we saw William Byron win twice and lead 482 laps, leading in 7 of the 8 races run, but he had an average finish of 14th, which was about what he was doing the year before, all things considered. From Bristol Dirt in April, though, to Daytona in the fall or late summer in August, he had 1 top 10 in 18 races, a 9th at Sonoma. Other than that, he was a mid-pack driver in every sense of the word. He had less top 10s than virtually every driver that was in the competitive field. But he finished the year in the last 10 races in the playoffs with no finish below 16th, and he averaged a 9th place finish, meaning that leading into 2023, he did have a bit of momentum built up. Momentum that so far in the first 2 races we didn't see before we saw it storm back at Las Vegas. 6 of his 11 2022 top 10s were in these last 10 races. So again, splitting the season in half from very hot to very cold, or very cold to very hot, whichever way you want to look at it. Either way, what it shows is William Byron is confusing so far in his career, and I don't really know what to make of him. To me, his performance baffles me. Yes, I know not all of it is his fault, but at the same time, he has also lucked into good finishes too. People get on Alex Bowman for being consistently inconsistent at Hendrick, but I honestly think William Byron is the 4th driver at that team when Chase Elliott is healthy. Now, when you look at his wins, the 5 wins that he's had so far have been interesting, to say the least. And I would say the first 4 could have ways of walking around it and giving excuses. For instance, that first win at Daytona, as well as his first win in 2022 at Atlanta, both of those were super speedway wins. Say what you want about people having the talent to do well at super speedways and how they can consistently be there. It also can be a crapshoot, or if you're given a good enough car like Hendrick tends to give their drivers at these tracks, you just flat out dominate. You could also have people, and you did have people, given the excuse of his Homestead win being under the 550 package. Of course you could win that, it really just takes being all out. I don't think that's the case, but people didn't probably take it as serious as they could have unless you were a Hendrick fan who was going overboard on it. And then there's Martinsville, where he led the most laps last year, but many said, well, nobody could pass. Joey Logano was beating the hell out of his back bumper, and he couldn't even move him out of the line. But the thing about this Las Vegas win, in my opinion, is it is a statement win. Not in the sense that it's a coming out party that he's going to be the next superstar of NASCAR. But what it proves is something that I think a lot of us have seen build up over 2022. These intermediate tracks are increasingly tough to win and even just run well at because of the next-gen car. You see a lot of very skilled drivers spinning out on their own at these tracks. You see tons of cautions, and you see a lot of these drivers just really lose talent, even if they wouldn't have before, and even if this was one of their good tracks before. But at Las Vegas, with the best cars in the field, he managed to fully take advantage of it. And not only that, you could say, well, he had the best car in the field with Hendrick. He had to beat Kyle Larson, who is probably all around the most talented driver in NASCAR today. And when you look at the 5 tracks that really catch my eye for William Byron, they're all pretty talent-based tracks, or tracks that are unique in their own way. For instance, he has 2 top 10s and 5 starts at the Roval, and has almost a 14th place average at the track. At Kansas, he has 6 top 10s and 10 starts, and a 15th place average. He's consistent at Kansas, which is a very difficult track to run well at. One of his best tracks, maybe his best track, consistently, may be Martinsville. Again, 6 top 10s and 10 starts, 4 top 5s in that win last year, and he led a ton of laps too. Pocono, in 9 starts, has 5 top 10s and a 9.4 average finish, and has led 70 laps. Pocono is probably one of the top 5 most difficult tracks in NASCAR to run well at, and William Byron, more often than not, is in the top 5 to 10. And then Texas, half his starts are top 10s, and he's led over 100 laps there. Texas, say what you want about it, is still a difficult track to run well at, and William Byron does it consistently. See, what I think is that Byron this year needs to prove something. He needs to prove that he's a consistent contender. Not that he's going to be streaky. Not that he's going to run well for 10, 15 weeks and then fall off the face of the earth only to show up at the end, or vice versa. He needs to be throughout the entire season a driver that we look at week in and week out and say, he could win. Or a driver who maybe if we don't say that about is up front, and if the leaders or people going for the win have issues, can capitalize on it. Similar to Kyle Busch at Bristol last year, or Alex Bowman in 2021 at Pocono. You see, he has the best equipment in Cup with Hendrick Motorsports. He's proven that he can have elite runs at times. He just needs to string it together. What it reminds me of is Alex Bowman heading into 2021. The two teammates are very similar, and Bowman had a breakout season with 4 wins and looked like a pretty good lock to be at least one of the guys mentioned in the championship fight at the end of the year, and not just because he was there due to circumstance. That's what William Byron needs to do this year. Set himself apart from his recent seasons and show that it's not a fluke if he wins more than once. Now, with that, I want to pass this right to you and ask if you think William Byron's breakout season is this one, or if this is just going to be another streaky one. Let me know down in the comments below. While you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel for more great NASCAR content. Thank you so much to all my channel members for your continued support. And be sure this week to watch the NASCAR Cup Series tomorrow night on Idk Player's channel as I'll co-commentate our Darlington race, and the NASCAR Weekly Podcast on Danny B Talks channel, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday night. So, until next time, have a good one.